Well, let's talk about the red eye.
Oh my God, that's what I was literally just going to say.
Let's talk about this damn red eye. This it's
All right, 48 hours, everybody. We had 48 hours from the moment we left DC to the moment we got back Wednesday morning on a red eye at 6:30 in the morning. 48 hours.
48 hours. 40 hours.
To Vancouver.
To Vancouver and back. That's what we do. That's what I do.
I was gonna say,
what I do.
I am not cut out for this.
What the best part about this was, Evan, here's the best part, right? We were up all day training, like exhausted. I ran 10 miles. She works out. Like we go do the training, we collaborate, we eat dinner, and then we get on this red eye. So we're both going to sleep. We both have our Dream Recovery eye mask. Like,
Represent.
We're ready. We're ready. Well, we both get upgraded to first class. So you're like, oh, we're winning. So I settle in on the window seat and I put the eye mask on. I get the blanket. I take my shoes off. I did have socks on. I take my shoes off and I'm going. I'm going to the wind. I wasn't even on the plane 30 minutes and I'm getting ready to get out, right? So as I'm just in that stage of like you're not asleep yet, but you like half asleep, right? I feel this pounding like somebody is taking a hammer to the center console. I'm like, and I have the eye mask on. It's dark. I'm like, what is happening, right? And I take the eye mask off, and Morgan is like ramming her back up against the chair.
My freaking seat wouldn't recline.
Her seat won't recline, right? So she's sitting straight up, and she is having a full-blown attack against this chair, right? I'm like,
because I was thinking maybe it's stuck.
I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, my seat won't recline. I said, well, tell the flight attendant. She says, no, it's not that big of a deal. So red eyes, the red eyes of the world. All right, well, listen.
That is not for the weak. Anyways.
Woo! It's Friday! They need that kind of energy.
Let's see what I got here. Yeah, you might want to remove your headphones, Evan. All right, last week. Anybody curious? Last week.
Why are you holding the foghorn?
Oh, Smokey, that's effects right there. That is not AI, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, listen. Last week we talked about self-influence.
Yeah.
Why we ask questions.
Yeah.
But let's talk more about the reason behind what and how questions. Why do we ask what and how?
It's on fire. So even the foghorn doesn't like the why questions. So here's the thing. So most salespeople have been taught you got to ask open-ended questions. You got to ask questions to get you the most amount of answers. Most salespeople don't understand that on a deeper level. So there's a type of question called calibrated questions, and calibrated questions are questions that are designed for several reasons. They're formatted and designed to help the buyer have deeper thought, deeper reflection. They're questions that are designed to allow the buyer to drop their defense mechanism. They're formatted in a way to really help the buyer. And there's only two of them. There's what and how. What and how are these calibrated questions? Chris Voss wrote a great book called Never Split the Difference. He talks a ton about it in negotiations, how what and how questions are so vitally important, calibrated questions. That psychologists have been using calibrated questions forever, so trying to get the patients to have deeper thought, deeper self-reflection, give more conscious ideas to the answers they're giving us. Salespeople don't understand this. And I didn't understand this forever until 10 years ago, 11 years ago, somebody taught it to me. And since then, it's been, I think, one of the biggest changes in my life. And so we want to ask questions that only begin with what and how. So I get one question, I want to get a really good answer. I'm going to ask a question that makes the buyer really think and self-reflect about the answer they're about ready to give. And we do this by structuring the question in the sense of if a buyer comes in, instead of me saying, hey, why did you come in today? Why are you moving? I'm going to say, hey, let me ask you a question. What's changed in your life that has you thinking about, moving? What's the reason you've decided on to now start to improve your life in your resident situation. Like, I'm going to ask questions that are strictly what and how. The buyer goes, this person is asking because they really want to understand me. They're really trying to get to know me. The challenge is most people ask questions that give us the wrong answer. And this isn't just close-ended yes or no. Let me give you the biggest faux pas and the reason you have a foghorn. The worst question you can ever ask is any question that begins with the word why. And this is where salespeople have really been screwed up by sales trainers. Because all we hear about is you got to find the why. You got to find the why. Even Simon Sinek wrote a great book, Start With Why. Everything's about the why, which I 100% agree with. But what nobody tells you is to find the true why, you can't use the word why to get the why. Let me tell you the reason why.
Why?
Because it's called the amygdala hack. There's many different reasons, but the number one reason is called the amygdala hack. And so humans have a bias against the word why. It comes from our amygdala, which the amygdala controls the fight or flight response. It's our protection part of our brain. And so what happens is when we ask the word why, humans take that word as a threat because they feel like the answer that they're going to be given is going to be judged, subconsciously trying to protect themselves in giving that answer. So what you'll get when you ask the question why is you'll get a very defensive answer. The buyer doesn't know they're giving you a defensive answer, but in a macro second, they're saying, the amygdala goes, I sense danger here. You're about ready to be judged. You better be really careful in the answer you give. And so the answer will be very, very short or it'll be very, very defensive, which doesn't allow you to do anything, but it also doesn't allow the buyer to hear the real problem. And so I learned this in my marriage a long time ago. I would say to my wife, hey, why are you in such a bad mood today? That's what happens when you say the word why around here. So I would say, hey, why are you in such a bad mood around here? And she'd go, well, you don't know. I've been home with the kids all day, and I was really trying to figure out what caused her to be in a bad mood. But because I structured the question word why, she felt like the answer she was giving was being attacked. I was asking her this question to judge her. And so I take the same question and I change the format of it, and I say, hey, what happened today to cause you to be in a bad mood? Well, now just changing the question made her feel more at ease, like I was asking the question to really explore. What and how are called calibrated questions. We call them explorer type questions, and where the person you're talking to really feels like you're trying to understand. We don't do that. We ask why-based questions, and when we ask why-based questions, we get defensive answers, which only makes us feel like we have to push even more because we're not getting the right answer, and it starts this whole cycle. If you can train yourself to get out of the whys, and I've been doing this for 10 years, we have a foghorn in our office because I still catch myself asking why questions all the time, that we literally bought a foghorn where if we ever hear the word why, we blow the horn. We have clients who have a swear jar in their conference room, and in their meetings, if somebody asks a question that begins with the word why, they have to put money in the jar. Like, you have to get to this part where you're really stripping why out of your vernacular. It's a really, really hard thing to do, but you'll see everything change when you start asking more calibrated what and how questions. These are the questions that elicit the best response and allow you to really help the buyer uncover their true motivations, their true desires, their true feelings, their true problems. All those things happen when you ask the right question. So remember, it's right question, formatted the right way, at the right time with the right buyer. You match those 4 things up, you're going to Cincinnati.